Hello everybody, this is Abraham of Nashor Computer Services. What we got here today is Dell XPS P56S. I believe it is a 15-inch XPS. Very nice machine, everything is good, and it still works. But the problem is, if you look at the trackpad, it has lifted. There is only one reason why trackpad would be lifted, and it's a problem with the battery. This Dell is still under warranty, so parts have been ordered and came in. So let's take it apart and see what the battery is doing. For that, we're gonna need a hex T5. We're gonna pull out screws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I guess. There may be some under here. Let's see. Yeah, there's two more Phillips head screwdrivers under there. Screws, I'm sure, sorry. Unlike Apple, these screws are all same size, and the Phillips are, there may be slightly different size, but there's only two of them, and you know exactly where they go under that label cover. Let me mention one interesting thing. I use this device, magnetize, demagnetize. You magnetize your screwdriver and it lifts your screws, so there is less chance of these things flying in all directions. Now let's get a Phillips. Lift up the cover and pull out two Phillips head screwdrivers. They are way different, cannot mix them up. And this is what I like about Dell XPS and Latitudes. They are incredibly well made. Now we're gonna need a case opener tool, something like this, and we're gonna go around and just release some of the hooks that hold on. Alright, classic case of battery swell. You can see that looks pretty bad. However, it still works. That is the amazing part. Now for this particular repair, we're gonna need to do quite involved disassembly of the machine, and because the trackpad has been damaged by the battery and pushed out, we did receive the parts. We got the trackpad, we got the battery. Alright, oh, one more. The battery is held by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws, and it just comes out like this and unplugs over there. I want to see how badly the trackpad has gotten damaged. It does work, but as you can see, this part here got really warped, and it's a plastic spring that holds the trackpad in place, so now it's just wobbly, very, very wobbly. All right. Here are the parts that we have received. So in this box we have, oh, the other thing, the fans make noise, so I ordered the fans too. We have the radiator for cooling. We have the two fans replacement. We have the cleaning pad for removing the old heat paste. we got the bottom case. This is amazing. I didn't expect the bottom case. We got the top case with the new spring on the clicker and a trackpad, and it's not wobbly. For these parts to go in, everything will have to be taken out. The other package here is the, I believe it's the battery. So there is a package inside of the package. And yes, it's the battery. Very well packed, very puffy, everything. So this is the new battery for the computer. With these flat batteries, you gotta be very careful not to puncture them, not to injure them. When this battery goes back to the manufacturer, they have a special damaged battery return. This one has a lot of puffy material, so that when it gets mailed back, we can actually open it. The chance for damaging the swelled battery is low. So let's see. I'm just curious what's in the package. So we got a big box. We got a special bag that if battery, when you pull the battery out of the system, let me get something. When battery gets pulled out of the system, this is what they normally look like. These are from the Apple, and this is what they become after just laying around. So they start to swell after you pull them out. So now that the pressure from the case is off the battery, it will start swelling more. And as you can see, now that I removed it, these cells become fatter, and they will go to maximum what they can become. And that's the reason why proper manufacturers that care about the environment and whatnot would send you something like this to send your battery back. I should say manufacturers that are not Apple. With Apple, you have a battery issue and it's under warranty, after the warranty, and it's after all of the Apple's expired things. They don't care. I don't know if Dell cares though, but at least this is the proper procedure for getting this returned. So as you can see, the battery becomes fatter as within minutes it already swelled up more, just because the pressure has been released from removing the casing. All right. Let me put these things away. We have Wi-Fi connectors here, we have the camera connector, we have the video connector that goes here, we got the fans, all that need to come out, and screws that hold the top in place. Let's see. Yep, the speakers, all this stuff will need to come out. And there's some circuitry under here that has to be transferred. This looks like is in place already. Let's just see. So this is in place. There's for speakers, there's something that goes over here, maybe for some ports. The motherboard, looks like the keyboard needs to be transplanted. Alright, looks like there's quite a bit of work to get this computer back in service. Let's see. Alright, a video cable. Fans. We can leave the screws that hold the fans down in the fan. Alright, we use the tweezers to pull it out. Alright, doesn't look like the fan is taped. Sometimes they use a tape to hold the fan in place. You can see some dust on there, no big deal. Fans get replaced. We'll clean up the dust. It is easier to use tweezers to pull out these fan connectors. Alright, we're gonna lift the left side fan. Alright, looks like a cable is taped to it. No big deal. This cable has a little bit of a tape that holds it in place. Boy, they really put a lot of tape on this. Alright, that's the camera cable. Hold down for the Wi-Fi cables. We don't have to disconnect them, the card just comes out. We could just put it away. And I guess they want me to remove the heatsink. Now, heatsink doesn't have to be removed, but the reason that they want it removed is the heat transfer paste does fail after years of use. This computer is a few years old, so it's a good idea to replace the heat transfer paste, and I believe the new heatsink does come with paste applied on it. We just need to clean the processor, CPU and the video processor. I believe this one has both. In general, the overheating is caused by the paste failing. As you can see, it is crusty, dry stuff now, and it should be a little bit gooey. It should stay gooey for a long time. So we can see the processor and the GPU both have the paste that is not liquid anymore. And that is the reason why they want you to, if you're doing this much work on a computer, getting it parts replaced on it, it's a good idea to get that cleaned up. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the motherboard. We got all cable things here. And we do have the cables, new cables, so that's good. This is the power connector. That would need to be transferred. Although this, this computer has both the USB-C charging through the Dell dock and regular charger. All right, let's see if we have any more screws hiding here. No, we do not. We need to disconnect the speaker cable. Sometimes pulling on the cables can make them come out improperly. All right, we need to disconnect the speaker cable, and we're gonna need to pull out the speakers. And the respective holders. We can do that later. This comes out. I like to give it a glance, just make sure everything is up and up on all sides. No, sometimes you could have a dust particle that got stuck somewhere. We don't want that. We have the keyboard and the backlight. Some Kapton tape. And we're going to be removing keyboard holding screws. This computer is so unlike Apple. Real pleasure to work on. Nothing out of this world. I mean, it's still a complicated device, but the complication has been engineered to being repairable, being serviceable, and not overly complicated as far as assembly. I'm not a big fan of this carbon fiber body that is glued to this metal. This metal is not really all that strong. They call it metal, but this is just what the die-cast model cars are made from. This metal, not very, it's not designed for impact and durability, and it's a little tougher than plastic. But honestly, plastic has this property where it can give if it flexes. This metal does not have that property, so when it's properly in proper form, where none of the screws are loose, everything works okay. But if one screw is loose and there is more flex than the system was designed for, it just breaks off. Okay. They do give me access holes, but it's easier to just peel this away. May end up having to use the access holes. What it does is, oh, we can use this one. It's when you peel it away on the that black tape on the keyboard, there are sometimes nicks and holes and whatnot, and this tape catches on them and starts tearing that. So not perfect solution. I believe a better solution, if somebody is listening and wants to make this particular section of the computer disassembly a little better, just little holes are better. But the reason that they have this on here is because there's a motherboard sitting right on top of it. They don't want any short circuits on there, so they put the protective tape. But as you can see, sometimes the tape that holds this protective cover on is not as vicious as this one is, and you could just peel that off. This particular one is too strong, and there is a risk of damaging the keyboard undercover. Much bigger risk than I'm willing to risk. We are nearing the end of this screw mayhem. Boy, that's a lot of screws. Not as many as the ones on Apple keyboards. So somebody from Apple can learn that it doesn't have to be too complicated. I mean, there's a lot of screws, but first of all, they're much bigger screws than the ones on Apple. And there are not as many of them here. Alright, looks like the last one is out. Nope, one more right here. Let's see where we are. Just want to check, nothing there. Nothing, so should be able to lift it. Boop, boop, boop. We'll give it a little cleaning. These components exist on the other case. To get the top section separated from the bottom, we'll put it like this over the edge. We'll start taking out screws. This one is a little more complicated. because there are several things involved here. There is a holder for the power connector. We got, this is busy situation here, a lot of stuff going on, but it's not complicated stuff, just screws. The top section comes out just like that. The last, now we're gonna need to have a new one here so we can properly transfer whatever is left over. So we got the speakers we need to put in, and we got, this is in, so that doesn't need to come out, and we got just one over here for the power jack. I should have ordered power jack also. They should have sent it. If we're doing this much work on it, power jack is something that does get worn out. All right, let's look at it. Looks okay. Just looking for scratches and problems. That looks fine. We will place this on the bottom and check to make sure everything is transferred. So one thing that I do see, for some reason it doesn't exist on the new one, is a little tape thingy. It is not critical to have it, but what could happen is vibrations from fan could cause this stuff to just rattle inside, so I want to take care of that. The other thing, the reason for this tape is to make any metal parts one with the case. This one's metallized tape. Let's see, all the other metallized tape pieces are in place, and that looks good. Put this away. We've got our keyboard, our screen thingy. Goes back in. Screws that hold it in place. I believe that because of the mechanisms that exist on these computers, it is a good idea for expensive machines. This machine was expensive. For expensive machines to be on a service schedule, meaning things like thermal paste, power jack, maybe other things that wear out on a computer, to get replaced on a schedule. Yes, these machines could last quite a long time, but if you put things that wear out on a replacement schedule, I believe these machines can last even longer. And this machine is very, very good machine. And it's expensive too. Alright. Let's place our keyboard back in its position. Oh, I wanted to clean it up. Alright, I just took a brush to it. Place this back in. And screws are going back. The screws are back in town. The screws are back in town. All right. Start with the center screws and work ourselves out to the rim. I do believe that assembly of the machine must be done in the exact same fashion as the manufacturer has intended. This goes, at least in my case, for everything that I do. When I fix cars for fun or not for fun, I put the clips back in where they belong. I put the zip ties, I put the every little thing, piece of tape or whatever, where it belongs. I do believe that engineers have thought a lot at the factory about how this needs to be secured, how this needs to be assembled, and that gives any machinery good longevity. I also believe that after me fixing whatever, if you go in, you will not recognize or realize that I have been there. I try to make assembly as OEM as possible. OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer. The reason that manufacturers can assemble it a certain way is because there is an assembly line, and assembly line workers, they only put a certain type of equipment or machinery or part into the machine, so they only deal with one or two parts at a time. I have to deal with all of them, and when I get a computer here and I can see right away somebody's been in it, I know that the repair was sloppy, the computer will not work properly, there will be other problems that have been introduced just because somebody tried repairing the machine. So on top of the original problem, which most likely doesn't get solved by somebody who is not careful, let's put it this way, they introduce new problems that now need to be solved. So if you are in the business of getting these things fixed, make sure you get a lot of old things from like Goodwill or your friends, family, and you practice on those, and you practice to assemble and disassemble these things in the fashion that they were originally assembled. That will definitely give you a good edge compared to somebody who just wants to make a very quick turnaround. you cannot do these things quick. There is thought process involved. There are parts that stack up one on top of another, and oftentimes what happens, you put the whole thing together and then you find, oh crap, there's one part and it's in the middle. So you have to beat yourself on the head a little bit, take the whole thing apart, put the part where it belongs, even if it doesn't seem to be a critical part. Still, that's how you achieve perfection. Alright, let's see. This connector is being a little difficult. Alright. That one's in. Come on. And when the connectors are laid in, make sure that they're laid in the holes that were designed for them. Alright, I do believe that this motherboard is in place. The screws will do the final securing. On the Dell computers, you got little triangles like this here. They indicate where the screws go. If there isn't a triangle, that means it's not the screw that will secure this particular component to the frame. Look for screws or places that have little triangles on them. Not so on Apple computers. Apple computer, in my opinion, is a hodgepodge. Well, Apple doesn't want you to do this kind of work. They don't want you to fix them. They want you to throw them out. They want you to tell the people that bought them they're done. They're not fixable. I do see there's a little triangle, but I do believe that fan holder. Let's see. Where's that fan screw goes? Yeah, that's for the fan screw. So got one more place that I must have missed. All right, we'll find it. Get our fan. Nice new fan. Alright, I believe we need to put the cooler in place. Just making sure I didn't put the screws that force cooler in places where motherboard screws have gone. Alright, I'm going to use the cam pad. Just a regular alcohol pad, that's all it is. we go. Turn it in. Okay, one to go. I mean, one down, one to go. There is the old paste. All right. It's not 100% alcohol. There is something mixed in there, because the feeling I get on the finger is slightly different from when I do just straight alcohol, but it's alcohol based. Now, because this chemical destroys thermal paste, you want to make sure that it is dry, because putting new thermal paste on liquid material that destroys it will destroy it. All right, I'm just going to peel this off carefully, because sometimes you could peel off the thermal compound with the protective tape. All right, and we're going to take these off. Now, normally I would apply my own paste, but this is manufacturer recommended or manufacturer's original. We'll keep it as original as possible. All right. One, two, three. Four, five. Now, there are numbers on here, and what those numbers are for is once you put the screw in, that's where you tighten them in that order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't have to put the screws in that order, you tighten them in that order. Now we're gonna put our cooling fan in, and we're gonna take the screw that hold it, or I shall say 2 screws that hold it. One and 2. Okay, we are going to plug it in. Oh, come on. That was upside down. I guess it was upside down. All right, see? Do not force it in if it doesn't want to go in. We are going to place this back. That's our power connector. Going to feed our video connector and make sure that the wires are not pinched and are routed properly. Any stress on the wire in the wrong place will cause it to fracture and malfunction. The video cable is making a couple of loops, and there is a reason for all those loops. Let's put this back in. All right, next we're going to place our webcam connector where it's supposed to go. It wants to be difficult. Okay, sometimes these connectors want to be special. Alright, let's put our second fan in place. Looks like this little dot indicates that it's the top. Let's see if that's the case, because that's what happened on the other one. Yep. Alright, fan in place. Get the fan screw. Get the other one. That one didn't want to go in. So what you do is you put the one that does want to go in, that aligns the other side. Let's put this in place. See, all these little tape thingies, they set the wire in proper routing where the wire should go. And you don't have to get the new tapes, just make sure that the ones you use are in their proper places. Okay, that's good. We have most of the stuff properly aligned. I am not too happy about just one little thing. This screw. Don't know where it came from. Can't find its location. Let's see. Got those two holes aligned. But these are battery holes. Alright, we will have to put the battery back in. And we'll see if our screw screw will find its place. All right. Battery is in. No. See, I already forgot. There is one more piece. It's missing. Let's see. I think we can put it in without having to remove our battery. This is what I'm talking about. These little boogers can bite you afterwards. I totally forgot about speakers. Now, thankfully, I don't have to take the whole thing apart to put them in. And there's only 4 screws that hold them in place. And only one wire harness. Alright. This one it belongs. Here's the thing. If I didn't forget, I would have been quite surprised. This is normal. When you forget something, it's normal. When you don't forget anything, you gotta ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Everything seemed to have gone in perfectly. That scares me. Little things like this, yes, that's good. All right. On these speakers, sometimes metal shavings could accumulate, so I just run my fingers to make sure that they're not there. Now, can they cause a problem? Yes, they could cause crackling sounds. They could cause degradation of speaker performance because they actually pull the diaphragm towards the magnet because now the whole thing is heavier. So on the computer you might not notice it all that much, but on high performance speakers you will. So does it make any difference? Yes, I always clean them up, and anything that can help helps. Alright, we got the battery in. We got a place for our screw. Oh no, it's not. This is where those top screws go. I believe this is where it's from. Right here. The odd thing is there isn't a little arrow on it. So what I thought, the reason I didn't put it in there is I thought that the cover is held, but the cover is held by these standoffs. And these are the 2 ones in the center. Before we actually close it, let's give it a test power up and see if it actually works. If the battery has charge. Usually battery has charge in it. Well, this particular does not. They shipped it completely no power. Alright, I gotta find a power cord. Alright, I got the power supply, I got the lights. Let's see if the computer is operational. Open it up, push the button, it's responding. There's a faint light on the bottom. I can see the keyboard, I can see the Dell logo. All that looks pretty good. Looks like Windows is loading. And we're good to go. So battery is charging. Just needed a charger. Let's see. Last piece. Let's close this, let it charging. We're gonna need to remove all this protective tape from the case. And now there's just one thing that I'm not sure about. So original back for the computer had its service information, serial number and whatnot on it. Let's see what's on the new one. I don't think they would have put that info on here. Yeah, it's not. See, nothing in here. Let's see. What do they want us to do? Yeah, this information cannot really be peeled easily. There's nothing wrong with this. I'll just put this on. I need the info for the service tag and serial number more than a new case. We'll leave that just in case something happens to this one. Alright, all I can say is this. This computer has been a pleasure to work on. I enjoyed it a lot. Almost everything I did was on the camera, and as you can see, there are no unusual things. There's no crazy things, no special tools. I mean, you use the hacks for this, but this is not some kind of special hacks tool that Apple uses. All of the screws are the same size. It is designed to be serviceable. As you can see, there are no unusual hard things to do. The battery isn't glued in like crazy, and this computer was not more expensive than the Apple. Let's put it this way. This is an i7 with all of the solid state drive and high performance video card, the retina display. So this computer, I believe it was about $2,500 in that area, which for a Dell is a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money for Apple. And these parts were sent through the warranty, but the Parts can be purchased from Dell directly. They do have a parts department, and if you didn't buy the warranty, then you can get these parts with you know, pay-as-you-go type thing. We will continue. I want to say thumbs up for Dell XPS, and just overall amazingly easy machine to work on. Well, easy is a relative statement. There was a lot of time I needed to spend on getting this machine back together, but it was just a forward-going process. It wasn't where you have to use heat guns and all kinds of garbage stuff, impossible things. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, ask down below. This has been a presentation for Dell XPS, and hopefully this helps somebody save money. Thank you for watching, and enjoy your day.